Darshan today is our rabbinic intern, Marc Blatt. We've known Marc, though, more than just our rabbinic intern this past year, as he's finishing up now his 4th year in rabbinical school. But we knew him before then because he was a teacher and involved in our youth group as well. So throughout the time that Marc has been associated with Adat Ariel, speaking on behalf of myself and others who've had the chance to work with him, we found him to be creative, energetic, spirited, and just a very warm, wonderful personality, wonderful way of bringing people in and bringing them closer to Torah, which is a very useful trait for a rabbi to be. It is a pleasure to be able to share the bima with him this morning.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This week's Parsha, Parsha Shmini, as we've seen with our lovely, Parsha play, begins with the dedication of the Mishkan with its first service. It continues with the unfortunate death of Nadav and Avihu, and it concludes with a subject that is very close to my heart, kashrut. We get the rules for basically what we can eat. If it has split hooves and it chews the cud, it's kosher. Certain birds, not so kosher. Swarmed winged insects and things, the creepy crawlies, the things that crawl on the ground, things that you would call the Orkin man for, not kosher. Fish with fins and scales, they're okay, they're kosher. Not only can we not eat these animals, as the Torah goes on to explain, we can't even touch them, these unkosher animals. And not only can we not touch them, they cannot touch anything that we own. They can't touch our vessels, they can't touch our plates, they can't touch our bowls, they can't touch our glasses. This reminds me actually of something that happened to me when I was a lot younger. My family did not always keep kosher. In fact, in reverse Jewish parent guilt, I decided when I decided to keep kosher, I went to my parents, who I was still living with at the time, and I said, I'm planning to keep kosher, and my future children will also be keeping kosher. So if you want your future grandchildren to come visit you, you should keep kosher too. And it worked. Ad hayom hazeh, my parents actually keep a much more stricter house than I do. But there's something you have to know about my mother. She was the queen of the Tupperware party in the 1980s. I know before your time, guys, but Tupperware is like the Rubbermaid stuff. Okay, you guys know. I remember as a child having people over at least once a month, and my mom would sell Tupperware. And unfortunately, Tupperware is one of those things that cannot be koshered. And it was a sad day when my mother had to get rid of her trash bags, 3 or 4 trash bags filled with Tupperware that she had collected. Some pieces were older than I was. So as a gesture of goodwill and good faith, I took some money out of my pocket and bought her a new set of Tupperware. She was very happy about that. So the question is, why are we not allowed to touch or have these animals touch our foodstuffs, our implements for eating? And the answer is tuma, or what's known as spiritual uncleanliness, or as one of my professors put it, the religious or spiritual cooties. As my daughters would say, though, but why, Abba? Why can't we do this? Okay? And we get the familiar refrain. You shall be holy, for I am holy. I meaning God. But what does it mean to be kadosh, or holy? We all know the kuf daled shin root. We have kiddush, we have kadosh, we have kiddushin, we have Shabbat, a yom kodesh. Okay? We are to be an am kodesh. Okay? What does this mean? And I put forward, not my own, but I put forward the idea that kadosh, or holy, actually means distinct, separate, different. Okay. Kiddush differentiates a normal day from a holy day. Kiddushin, the marriage ceremony, sanctifies that one person is for you and for you alone. Okay? and they form a holy relationship. God is kadosh. God is different and distinct from anything we have ever known. And we, people Israel, we are to be an am kadosh. We are to be different from everyone else. We are to be different in the way we eat. We are to be different in the way we dress. We are to be different in the way we interact with one another. We are to be different in the way in which we engage in our relationships in our lives. Last week, we came together with our family and friends to celebrate the Passover Seder. Okay, and what is the central message of the Passover Seder? This is the interactive part. What is the central message? And actually, what is the central message of most of our liturgy? Freedom. God who took us out. He took us out. In fact, this morning in the Shema, we read it. Asher hotzeti etchem. I took you out. But at the end of this week's Parsha, which Noah read so beautifully, where are you? There you go. We have a slight change in this narrative. Okay? At the end, we have normally God chotze. He takes us out. But at the end of this Parsha, we use the different word. We use the word ma'aleh. Ma'aleh etchem et me'eretz Mitzrayim. God who raised us up, or who brought us up out of Egypt. Little change, but an important change. Sforno, who is an Italian 16th century commentator on the Torah, picks up on this difference. Gotta watch my P's here. And says, as if speaking up for God, says that I elevated you out of Egypt, so you shall make the effort to sanctify yourselves. For my, meaning God's, intent in bringing you out of Egypt was for you to attain a level of holiness, distinctness in walking in my ways. As the rabbis say in Yoma, which is a Parsha, Masechet of Talmud, a person who sanctifies himself a little, God sanctifies him in great measure. This distinctness, as we will see in the next few weeks, for we are entering the part of the Torah known as the Holiness Code, is meant to invade our entire lives. The way we eat, the way we demarcate our time, the relationships in which we engage in. These are all ways to be kadosh, to be holy, to be different. My charge for you for this upcoming week is to maybe not go all the way and kasher your houses and keep kosher. That's a tall task. It took me years to achieve. But instead, look at the ways in which you can bring holiness, distinctness into your lives, both in the way you eat, but also in the way you interact with one another, how you engage in your holy relationships with one another, and how we come together as a community. Shabbat Shalom.